Hey, this is Andrew Brown. We're continuing on with these Bedrock workshops where we're making our own twist on them to make them easy to work with. And so I want to take a look at agents next. I know like we have model customization, which I really want to do, an image and multimodal, but this is going to tie into our project knowledge base that we already still have running. And I just would like to get through this one so I can spin down that project knowledge base. But agents are interesting in that the way I understand them is that they are this UI interface that allows you to do tool use, to talk to other agents, things like that. It gives you it's kind of like partially what, if you've ever used Azure's tools, it's kind of like Azure AI Prompt Flow, but it's only part of it, whereas AWS has kind of split that into Prompt Flow and two separate things. I'm not sure why they did that as a choice. But anyway, you'll see what it is. It makes more sense just utilizing it than talking about it. But let's read here and see what they have. So agents from Bedrock. So the notebook provides sample code, okay, which will create a restaurant assistant that allows customers to create, delete, or get reservation information. And so what you're seeing here is multiple things occurring here. So I'm assuming the agent here is the LLM. Action group is tool use. So tool use in LLMs just means calling a function, right? Like utilizing some kind of programmatic piece of code. And so here they have a Lambda function, which is going to go do a Dynamo DB, right? So, I'm not sure how much we're going to stick with this, but we're going to utilize some of it here. So it says choose an agent, create a database, create a function, create an agent, create an action group, the order to which we have to do this. So there's some stuff here, yeah. And so I kind of understand this, and I feel that maybe what would be better is if we just go ahead and just go make something that we want to utilize here. Like this is a more complex one, I guess, where they have two separate tasks. So this one is a bit different where, what was this one here? This one was, this one's for creating reservations, right? And then this one looks like it's about getting menu information. So we have reservations, and then you have menu information. Okay, nothing complicated here. And we'll look at the next one. Just a moment here. Okay. And so, yeah, there's something going on here. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to utilize that. And then they have some documents here that we can utilize. So we have menus, dinners, stuff like that. So this might be something we might want to utilize, but let's go ahead and just figure it out ourselves, okay? Because I'm not sure about their code. I'm not sure about that stuff there. So let's go ahead and create a new agent. So we'll go and create ourselves a new agent, and this will just be, I guess we'll just stick with what they have, restaurant agent. I don't think I spelled restaurant correctly, so we'll go ahead and fix that. As far as I understand, this thing is serverless and shouldn't cost us anything additional with the underlying resources. We'll go take a look here at Bedrock agent, since I got caught off guard with my other spend there. So now I'm just going to double check pricing here. And we'll go here. Agents. Yeah, so no extra charge. They really word this weirdly, but it's basically free with the exception of the underlying resources that it provisions, right? So here we have our agent. We'll let it create a new role, which seems fine by me. There are different things that we can use. Claude is good. We'll go stick with Claude. Well, actually, if we can use something newer, like 3, I like Haiku. So let's go stick with Haiku here. We have instructions for the agent, which is fine. There's memory usage, so agents only remember information with a single conversation. I think that's fine. We don't need to turn on memory for this. Let's go ahead and add our knowledge base. Okay, so we'll add that there. You must save your agent first. Okay, so we've yet to save our agent. Let's go ahead and save it. And then we'll go down below here. We'll add our knowledge base. We'll add it. So that is now in here. And we don't have our documents in there, so that will be something separate we'll need to do. But the huge advantage here is going to be these action groups, right? There's also guardrails which we could set, but we'll look at that later. So let's go ahead and add an action group. And so here, look, we have a function we can define. So I'm going to assume, let's see, specify functions and define parameters and JSON objects that will be associated, or specify a Lambda or API gateway and specify a scheme to specify that API. So what is the difference here? Oh, so this is just going to create the function for us because this one's like we already have it, I suppose. What's the difference? Select the existing scheme or create a new one via this. Oh, okay. So this one here, API schema. So like when you use API gateway, there's something called Open API. It's just a way that you can define stuff. And so they're just allowing you to do it here. But I think we'd rather just go ahead and create a new function. I think that when they create this function here, they'll probably give us some boilerplate code, which might be really nice. And so here I'm just going to say menu lookup. We don't need to do both the reservations. We'll just do the menu lookup. And let's go back to their design here. We'll go to, let's say, this one here. And so this one, I mean, does it even need a tool use for this? Because if the menus are here, it probably interacts with it directly. And here, this is kind of representing, you have a function here, and this is just a serverless one. So let's scroll down here. So this one might not even use tool use. Yeah, I think that we don't even need to do that. So we'll have to do the reservations. So let's just do the reservations then. So we'll go here and we'll call this reserve, I guess. So this is reservations. Reservations. Book a reservation and place it in DynamoDB. Enable confirmation of action group. We could even do this in a more simple way and just make a file and paste it into S3. So book a reservation by placing a file in an S3 bucket. I feel like that is nicer because then we don't have to write DynamoDB code. Not that it's that hard. You know what? We'll do DynamoDB because we have LLMs here to help us write it. So let's stop being lazy here and actually do what they're doing. There we go. And so here it says enable confirmation of action group. So request confirmation before user invokes it. I mean, I kind of like that because then we would see that when it happens. Parameters allow you to define object relationships within the action group. So, I mean, that's interesting, but I'm not really sure what we want to use parameters for now. I would imagine that's information that we would collect from the user and then pass on to the function, right? So we'll go ahead and hit create here. Create. And it's not creating. It's not telling us why it's not creating. So I'm thinking maybe it wants a parameter, right? So we'll go here and we'll just say, let's go back and take a look and see what they have here. Let's see if they create any parameters. So we'll go back to this one here. The Lambda handler receives an event agent from the function parameters. Booking ID, create a booking. All right, so let me just read this and figure out what's going on. All right, so I just scrolled down here to the create action group, and even though we do not yet have a function, I think that, I wonder if they all go to the same one, because up here, they have 3 actions, and I think one Lambda is handling it. Yeah, it is. So it looks like they create 3 functions, and they're funneling it to the same Llama function. So let's go ahead back over to here, because obviously they're doing everything programmatically, and we're not. But this one will probably need to match. So the name, we'll call it get booking details first, I guess. And here we'll provide the description. And maybe the reason it doesn't work is that it at least needs a description. Well, it says optional here, right? And we're not going to confirm that. We'll leave that alone for now. But here what it wants is a booking ID. So we'll go here and we'll say, give this a booking ID. Okay, not the best UI. And then we'll grab this here. And then we'll change the required to true. And now let's see if we can create this. So, well, we have an action group name up here, and then we have action group function. So hold on here a second. So these are the functions. The function schema requires the name, description, the parameters. Okay, but what's the name of the actual action group name? So I'm looking for this function here. Yep, sorry, whoops. I did not know that was a link. Normally they're not links. Create action group, whoops. Create action group name. And this one, they're calling it what? So they want to call it this. So I guess we'll just keep matching it here. It says this stuff is optional. But like, why can't I? Why can't I create it? What if I go back a step? So let's say I go here. Did I just lose it all? That's terrible. That's terrible UI. Okay, so we'll try this again. We'll put this name in here. It's not used, so it doesn't matter. And we're going to let it create a function. We're going to try this again by going down to our action group names. So here's one, right? So we go here, and then well, you know what? This can take JSON. Name, description, parameters. I'm just making sure this is the same thing, right? So we'll grab this. And this one is not exactly the same because the parameters are a little bit different. We can paste it in here like this and we'll go back to table. And it's still here, but it doesn't like these single quotations. So we'll go ahead and just swap those out quickly. Let's see if we hit create. And so now that's going to work. And it's going to create that Lambda function, which is great. I spelled get booking wrong though. So hopefully that's not a problem. I just noticed that mistake. And I'm going to go back into here. Oh, you know what? Actually, I think it was fine because the name here is correct. Why did it say get booking then? Well, anyway. Oh, it says up here, get booking. Oh, so it just cuts it off, right? So the name is proper. But the other part of it is that we need to have all the parameters. Why is the parameters gone now? Notice we had parameters here before and they're just gone. What is going on? So let's go ahead and try this again, I guess. We'll add a parameter because we need that booking ID in here. Booking ID. And we'll say required true. This is a newer thing, so I'm not really surprised it doesn't work properly. And so all these are saved in place. So we're going to hit save here, save. Right? And then I'll hit save and exit. And let's go back here and take a look. And let's just make sure that is set. So that is now set. So we have one of our actions set up. We'll add another group action function. Well, sorry, this is so we're in a table action group. And then we're going to add another function to the group. They just can't name things so they're not confusing, eh? And so we'll grab this one next. And it'd be really nice if we could just bring in all the parameters in JSON, but that didn't work last time. So I'm just going to have to manually bring them in. So we'll go here and we'll say date. I think there's like 3 here. There's like 4. So we'll add another one here. This one will be this one, name. our number of guests. Then we'll go into description here. And, oh no, that's the wrong one. It's over here. We'll grab this one here. And we'll grab this one here. And we'll grab this one here. And so which ones are required? They're all required, so we'll go ahead and do that. Say true, 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 true. There we go. Okay, so that has now been added. So I'm just gonna save these individually because I'm kind of afraid that each of them won't work. And so we'll go back there. I don't remember choosing the action though, or do they all go to the same action? Ah, okay, so they're all gonna go to the same function, right? And that kind of makes sense why they're doing it that way now. Okay, that makes sense. So let's go ahead and add another action group, which is our last one here. And this one here is gonna be delete booking. And we're gonna go here and add parameters. This will just be the booking ID. Okay. And so I'll go ahead here and add this. And then this one will be true. Great, and so now we've added that one there as well. We'll bring in the description. There's no reason we shouldn't. So I guess this example is not that bad, but it looked a bit of a mess because it's not using the UI here. When enabled, your action group is influencing the response of your agent. Disable action to stop it from doing that. Okay, so that's just like kind of a stop for it. We'll save that, then we'll save and exit. We'll go and double, triple check here that they are here. And so we should have our 3 get, create, and delete, right? So those 3 are there. So now it says, now that we have that, we need to go update our Python code. So let's go over to Llama. And what we'll do here is we need to look for that new one. I believe it's this one here. It was created 5 minutes ago, right? So it must be this one. And we can just put our code directly in here. So we'll go back over to here and we'll grab this. I'm going to assume this is completely set up for us. We don't even have to write anything, which is really nice. So we'll go ahead and deploy that. Now just taking a look here, what is it doing? So here, I don't know why we need this. You know, I don't think that's supposed to be there. I think this line here is like if we were to write a file. So we'll just take that out. I do not believe that's supposed to be there. Okay. And so, you know, we have DynamoDB. We have a table here called restaurants bookings, which we've yet to create. We have a create booking functionality, delete booking. So those pretty much map exactly to where they're supposed to go, but how does it actually map it? So in our Lambda handler here, it passes an action group and a function and the parameters, and then it's matching the function name. So naming them after the actual, like the function, literally the function as the name of the function and the action group function is going to make it easier to do that if else. But yeah, it's interesting they don't directly call those, but I mean, like, or I'm surprised they don't have some kind of like existing router, but to just directly route those. But that's pretty clear here how that is working. So the other thing we're going to need is a DynamoDB database called restaurant booking. So that's pretty easy to set up. So we'll go over to DynamoDB here. And I'm going to go ahead here and create a new one called DynamoDB. So do that. I don't know what we need for our partition key though. DynamoDB. So I'm looking for this. It doesn't say what the table would be. So we know here that like it would insert things like booking ID. So it seems to me that the primary key would probably be the booking ID, because it's not saying any primary key here. Yeah, key booking ID. So I think booking ID is our primary key here. And I believe that it is a string. So we'll go back over to here. That's our partition key. And we don't need a sort key here today. But let's go back and take a look here. The way we know what it is based on this. And it says it's a string. Okay, great. So that is definitely a string. That's our booking ID. We'll stick with the default options, which is totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and create that. Okay, and so far I'm not even really using this environment that I have running from before for SageMaker, which is totally fine. So we'll just wait for that to create. There we go. It is now ready, called Restaurant Bookings. It's in North Virginia, the same region that we're in. And so all that stuff is hooked up. I wonder what else there is to do, because it seems like we have all the parts in place for this to work, right? Allow Bedrock to invoke the Lambda function. Now, I would think that because we created through the UI, it would already have that access there. So it's something that we wouldn't have to do. Prepare the agent. Before invoking the agent, we need to prepare it. Preparing your agent will package all of its components, including the security configurations there. Okay, and I suppose that this is if we want to work with it programmatically. So we have Bedrock prepare agent. And that might be something we might want to do, is we might want to programmatically use it, so we're not totally done. But let's go ahead and use it with the interface first. Yeah, over here, it looks like this is another way we can work with it. So let's go over to here, back to Bedrock, wherever the tab is. I kind of lost it here. Nope, nope, nope. It's not there. It's not there. I guess we lost it. So let's just go back over to Bedrock. Well, we'll do it in this one here. I know I'm clicking all over the place. I'm just getting confused. But we'll go over to here, and we'll go to agents. We'll click into here. And so it says prepare the agent and test for the latest changes. That's what I was talking about. It has to do something before we can use it. Right now it's in a current draft. So let's go ahead and hit prepare. What it's doing, I have no idea, but we'll let it do that preparation. Agent instruction cannot be null. So we did not provide it any instructions. So we'll go edit the agent. And so somewhere here we have to provide it its instruction information, like system instructions. So I'm going to go back over to wherever that was here. And let's just see if we can find those instructions. Agent instructions. Here it is. Okay, so this is the one that's used for it. Okay, so we'll go back over to here. I think the only difference is that we're using Haiku instead of Claude 2.1. Oh, it is set to Claude 2.1. I don't like that. Let's do Haiku. Wait, what happens if we change that? There's a difference in memory. Okay, well, I want to use Haiku, Claude 3 Haiku, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to go here and save the model. I really hate this UI. It's terrible UI. And we'll go ahead and see if we can prepare the model now. So you're a restaurant agent helping clients retrieve information from their bookings and creating a new booking. So what I wonder is, like, how would it know what to route? Because there's the function names, but I would imagine it would rely on the descriptions of the actions, right? So we have an action group called table booking action group, and then we have those descriptions. It looks like it's ready. So I would like to create a booking for the restaurant, please. Let's see if we can do that. Now, if we have trouble with Haiku, we could always do something else, but it seems I do not have the necessary permissions to create a new bookings at this time. Could you please check with the restaurant system administrator? Let's take a look at the trace and see what it did. So here, I'm trying to see if it tried to do something here. So here's the create booking function returned an error indicating the user is not authorized to perform the put item operation on the DynamoDB table. Okay, so our Lambda, it's interesting what came back there. So, and its information was actually really good. So what we want to do here is we want to go over to our function, which I thought we kept open here. We did. And we need to add some permissions. So under configuration, probably, if we go to permissions here, and we add permissions. This looks a little bit different from the last time I used it. They're always changing things on me here. Oh, wow, this is really different. Okay, this is fine, but I want to give this access to, this is really weird. I'm not used to this. AWS services. Here we'll say DynamoDB. You can't type. Okay. All right, so this is not what I really wanted. Let's go back here. Oh, I guess it's resource-based policies, add permissions. It's this thing I want. Sorry, I got confused by what this was down here. And what I really wanted to do was modify this role here, right? Seems like I can go edit here. Nope. I'd have to click through this. Not a big deal. And so we're just trying to find that role. We're going to add an inline policy. Or we can just probably attach a full policy here. We'll just look for DynamoDB. We'll give it full access here today. Just make our lives super easy. And now that we've added it, let's go back over to here. So I believe those permissions are added. And we'll go back and we'll ask again. So I'll say here is like, let's see if it will try again. There we go. And so it came back with a date, a time, number of guests, and the booking ID. So that's really interesting. And we can look at the trace. So like this is actually pretty good. I was actually surprised how well this worked. Pre-processing, post-processing. I'm going to assume this is with guardrails. After running input in the test window, pre-processing allows you to explore traces given to generate the final response and invoking it. So yeah, I'm thinking that is probably guardrails right there. But yeah, that's pretty good. I was actually quite surprised. Let's go take a look at DynamoDB. And we'll go to indexes. Or sorry, not indexes, our data, our table, explore table data. And there's our insertion. I assume that the other ones are going to work. If you want to play around with it, you can. I'm not that concerned about it. I just wanted to see that it would work with one. The other thing is like we have that knowledge base hooked up. So it'd be like, has AWS been innovating with Gen AI? Because we have those documents from before. I didn't upload the other stuff, so we'll just see what it does. And so we'll go over to here and take a look. So yeah, it didn't do exactly what I wanted. I was hoping that would just kind of pull up the data that we have there. But I'm going to go to our knowledge base because we do have that. And I want to upload new stuff. So we'll go back to our, wherever that code was here. I still have my bucket open from earlier. So we can go ahead and delete these. These are the old ones from when I was doing, when we were doing the reg prior here, which you should have done first. And so what we're looking for here are these documents. So I'm going to go ahead and download those. So we'll just click into each one. I'll just say download, download, download. Those three are now downloaded. We'll go over to this here. And we'll grab these. And we'll upload it. Great, and so now these are uploaded into our project knowledge base, but they're not necessarily synced. So we got to go back to our project knowledge base here in Bedrock. And so we'll go to our project knowledge base. And in here, we'll click into here. And the way we sync our data is we go here and we just say sync. And so it will now just sync several minutes to hours. It will not take several hours. And while that is going on here, I'm just going to go back here and I guess read on to the second section here about how this needs to be integrated. Just give me a moment, okay? All right, so I just went through this and basically it shows you how to invoke reg like we did prior, but it just associates, it creates an agent and then it associates the knowledge base with it, which is what we already have done here. So, you know, my assumption is that this should already work, right? So this has been synced. Let's go back over to our agent. Okay. And what I want to do here is I would like to prepare it again. Is there a way to prepare it? We're not in the agent builder already. So it's edit and agent builder is the same thing here. And so we'll just say save here. And now I have this prepare button, so I'll click it. I'm not sure when it shows up and when it doesn't. I don't even know what prepare exactly does, but it does something. And so now that is prepared. And so let's go ahead and see if it just works because we've already associated it, right? Let's see if it can do it. Chicken nuggets. So we'll look at the trace and we'll see if it actually pulled from there. And so what I'm looking for, knowledge base, here it is. So yeah, it did hit the knowledge base. We can see that it pulled it there. And so it is already working. So the question is, do we want to take this further and learn how to programmatically work with agents? Because if you're going to implement this into production, I'm guessing the way that this would work is that you would create an agent, which we kind of did before. Let's just take a look at this code here. So we have the Bedrock agent client and then the agent runtime. So there's those two there. Before we had Bedrock runtime and Bedrock agent runtime. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. It's not going to take too long to do. So I still have Jupyter open here and we'll go back. We'll make a new folder here. And, you know, this is assuming that we already have a bunch of stuff set up already. Obviously, our knowledge base and a lot of the stuff is created. So just say agent, agent dot whatever. And we'll go back over to here. And we do want Bodo 3. So bring that in here. We'll run that. We will need probably both of these. So we'll bring those in here. I'm not sure we need both, but we'll probably need one of them. I just like to have it called like agent. There we go. Okay, and we'll scroll on down here. So we're going to skip the knowledge base because it's already set up. Knowledge base for Amazon. Upload the files, testing our knowledge base, updating the agent role. So we don't need to update it because it is already associated, right? We don't need to associate it. It's already associated. We don't necessarily need to prepare our agent because we've already prepared it. What we need to do is invoke it. So basically, we just need this. And we can put the time in here. We don't really need it, but we'll put it in there because it'll tell us the exact time it takes to execute, I think. We'll bring this in here. So we'll go here and just do this. I thought it always told us the time, but maybe I'm mistaken. I'm thinking of like Jupyter Notebooks and VS Code. And so in here, invoke agent helper. So we have this function somewhere here. Oh, they have an agent.py. Oh, I don't like that they did that. I really hate when they do that because then they're just kind of hiding the code, so to speak. So we have this one here. Let's go grab it and bring it on over here. Now let's take a look at what this function does. So I'm assuming this is kind of like a loop conversation, right? So that every time you trigger, it carries forward. So end session, if session not there, invoke the agent, which we now call agent runtime client. All right. And yeah, it's doing some logging. Do we need a logger in this? So we'll go back over to here. Maybe they have at the top. They do. They have pretty print and logging, so we'll bring those over as well. Okay. There's also a logger defined somewhere. So we have this. So we'll bring this here. They really shouldn't do that. I really don't like it when they dump things like that in there. It's not just AWS, but creators do that to make things more organized for themselves. But it's not great for the learner. At least that's my experience. So we have that set up there. I might as well just double check what else is here. Nothing interesting per se. So yeah, we have that. We have the agent. We have tracing if we need it. I'm not sure why I even want that. We have event stream, and we are streaming information, right? So it's going to stream information here. So I think that function is set up. If we go down below, there is query, session ID, agent ID, alias ID. I don't know what our session ID would be. I know like we'd have to get the agent ID, so that's something we can do here. So we'll get agent ID. That shouldn't be too hard to get. So if we go over to Bedrock here, and we go over to agents, and we go into the name of the agent, agent ID is right here, so we'll grab that, and we'll paste it in here. So that's going here. I'm not sure if we need an alias. There are aliases here, if we want to create an alias. Enter a unique name for your alias. Restaurant. Cool. Is restaurant spelled right? I always spell it wrong. It's always wrong with me. Okay, so we'll do this, create an alias. I don't know if we really even need an alias, but I'm going to do it because it's in there in the function. And so there is our, where's our alias? We created it, but where do they show up? Down below here. Okay, so this is our alias name and our alias ID. Again, just trying to make my life a lot easier by sticking with the alias. Alias ID. So we have that. Then we have session ID. Since I'm not really using sessions per se, so here we have session ID. I don't really want to use sessions, but I think that if we want to work with this, we're going to have to create a session, no? Or we'd have to create a session first, programmatically. So maybe we go back here, maybe somewhere they create a session. And hopefully it's not in here. Doesn't look like it's in this agent file. So let's go back over to, there's session from Bodo, but that's not really what we're talking about, is it? So we'll go back over to here. Now let's see if a session gets created anywhere in this file. So we'll type in session. And it does create a session. It creates a randomly generated session. Do we have to include the UUID in here as well as the import? No, it looks like it's just there by default maybe. UUID. Oh no, it imports it right there, okay. And so here we have a few things. So I guess you just make the session ID whatever you want so that they know that it's there, I guess. So that's fine. And I'm going to go here and go below. So here we are creating a session ID. We have our query here. Oh, we created it here as well. I didn't even notice. Somehow I did that before and did not notice. But we might want to keep that separate. And the reason why is that we'll keep the time there. But the thing is, like, if we're going to have a continuous conversation here, we might want to supply the same session ID, right? So here we have query, session ID, agent, and alias. These are all set. We'll run this, see if that works. Good. And so I believe that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we have everything we need. Hopefully this works. We'll run it. Invoke agent is not defined. Maybe I did not run this. That is now ran. And we'll try this again and see what happens. And it says an error occurred. when invoking agent operation, because this execution role does not allow invoke agent. So this is a problem we had before, remember, if you do. And so we're going to have to go find that role. This is easy to fix. And we're looking for this here. So we're going to go over to roles. We'll search this. And I'm going to go ahead and add permissions. And we'll attach an inline policy. We already have this down on this one, so I'm going to go use it with this one as well and just update it. And here I need the policy. So what I'm going to do, we need, just grab this here for a second. We'll grab this code here. It's a big old mess. But we'll duplicate this one. And then this one wants invoke agent. I'm going to assume it's for Bedrock. And then it's on a very particular resource. Yeah, invoke agent Bedrock, yeah. And so I'm thinking that it wants this resource here. Okay, so we'll do that. And we'll go down, we'll hit next. And we'll save the changes. And so now that's been added to there, okay? So we'll go back over to here. We'll try it again. And we have the query twice, which is an accident, doesn't really matter. And so here it says, the starters of the children are this, okay? And it gives us the time. Now, we have the same session ID, so I'm not sure if it would continue on with the same information. But anyway, that's the implementation there. Let's go up here, take a look here. So yeah, I guess this streams it. It doesn't continue the conversation repeatedly here. But one thing I'm wondering is, like, does it keep the history of the conversation? It must, because we're not like having to pass it in twice. So we could go here and enter something else in now and say like, what is on the adult menu? Save that, run that. Again, this is in the same session, so it should remember, right? Stuff. And so I'm assuming that's what it does. I don't necessarily have a good test for that. But there we go. We did an agent programmatically, and we have an idea how we'd implement it. So that's pretty cool. So I'm just checking here if there's any future ones. There's like open source examples here, which we don't necessarily have to get into. But, we still have image multimodal and model customization. That's a really good one here. One thing we also might want to check out while we're here, just so that we can checkbox it off, is guardrails. So guardrails allows you to filter content. I don't know. I think we can do that on anything, right? We could just do it. Yeah, we can add guardrails even to a very basic one, I'm pretty certain. So if we need to do that, we'll do that in a separate video. It'd be nice to use prompt flow. So I did try to create a prompt flow earlier, but supposedly you can associate prompt flow with your agents. So if you go over to here, somewhere here, and you go down to the bottom, it will suggest maybe be orchestration, prompt template. It's not really showing it. Here. And so somehow there's a way to integrate prompt flow, but it's such a new feature. I'm not sure if anybody even knows, but there obviously is some additional options that we could change. So there's a template, clearly, like it kind of looks like a Claude template. So maybe these agents work really well with Anthropic's products, is what I'm thinking here. But what I was kind of expecting here, going back here, is that there's somewhere to create a prompt flow and associate it. That's what I thought. But maybe not. Prompt flow. I don't know. Just give me a moment, okay? All right, so there is a blog post about it. I just wanted to know if it had to... Yeah, I remember this. There were these things here where we could say go from here to there, to etc. So, my question is, like, if we want to use prompt flow, do we use an agent for that or an LLM? Because we already have our LLM here and we might want to, or our agent already configured, we might want to use it with that. So I'm just going to quickly take a look here and see, my prompt flow, again, my prompt flow. And we'll use, we got a bunch here. Let's create a new one, who cares? But what I'm curious about here is like, what would it use? And I think I'm zoomed in here, by the way. Let's do that. Nope, apparently not. It's just large here. Because in here, there are agents, right? And so if I drag this here, is it going to work with, it does. Okay, and so this kind of makes it, that we probably would want to work with agents here. And so they don't have any videos or like instructional content on this. And so this is something that we'd have to figure out ourselves. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video here. We're going to come back to prompt flow in a separate video. And then after that, we'll clean everything up, okay? So yeah, if you don't want to keep all this stuff running around, you got to kill your SageMaker, kill your database, kill all the stuff that we've been creating here. Okay, but I'm going to clean that up in a separate video because I want to immediately follow with this, okay? Ciao. Oh, sorry, before I go, I'll download this and place this in our repo. So yeah, maybe I'll do that just before anything else, just so that we don't lose it. I'm going to leave that open so we can reference that documentation. And it keeps going to the Azure one. And I might already have this open somewhere here, but I don't see it. And so we'll just go ahead and press period. And we'll give it a moment. And in here, I'm going to make a new one. We'll call this agent. And I'm just going to upload that. There we go. So that is now uploaded here. I'll just save that for later. And I don't think we're going to work with prompt flow programmatically here. I don't think that is necessary. Yeah, we are making some progress here. I'm going to go over to the next video. Again, stop here. And so I'll see you in the next one here with prompt flow, literally picking up exactly where we are here. Okay, ciao.